too silly. Kids can't learn that. The stuff I want, make it so simple, kids can learn it, anybody can understand it. The teenagers can get it, I figure I've got it made. Here's how easy it is to set goals. Number one, decide what you want. Take a little time and a little thought. Decide what you want. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to see? What do you want to have? What kind of health do you want in the next 5 years? The people you want to meet. Where do you want to go? What kind of experiences would you like to have? What kind of promotions do you want? What kind of income do you want? Just take a little thought sometime. Make a little list. What do you want? Sit down with your wife. What do we want? Sit down with the family. What do we all want? What do we each want? What do we all want? Sit down with your business colleagues. Say, where are we going? What do we want? A little exercise here. Decide what you want. Here's the next key. Write it down. Just make a list. Here's the health goals I want. Here's what I want to give away. Here's the projects I want to support. Here's the things I want to own. Here's the properties. Here's the income. Here's the promotions. Here's my benevolence. Here's all the stuff. This is it. Number one, decide what you want. Number two, write it down. Here's number three. Keep the old lists. Because you're going to constantly make new lists and keep the old lists. Here's why. To see how you've grown. One of the best ways to see your own personal development and your own personal growth is to keep the old list of goals while you're making new lists. I look back now on goals I set 10 years ago, I smile. Here's what I thought was so important 10 years ago. I'm telling you, it isn't even in first place anymore. It's way down the list. Here's what's important to me now. My priorities have changed. Why? I've become better educated in the last 10 years than I was 10 years ago, and my goal lists prove it. So, number three is keep the old list. I go back 20 years ago, list of goals, say, my gosh, here's what I thought would really do it for me. And I smile. Wow. I was in the first grade back here, guys. So if you got that number three, keep the old list. Now here's number four. When you get something on your list, check it off. When I went to Spain for the first time, landed in Madrid, when the wheels touched the runway, I happen to have that journal because I keep my goal list in my journal. I happen to have that journal that had that list of goals. Go to Spain. When the wheels touched the runway, I checked it off. Got it. Now guess what else I've learned to do? Put a whole lot of little things on my list so I get to check off something every day. Got it. And that's it. That's the simple art of setting goals. Now put serious things on your goal list. Important things, frivolous things, little things, special things. Doesn't matter what it is. It's your list. On my first list of goals, I had some revenge on my first list. Some of the people who said I couldn't do it, they went on my list. Budget finance, who threatened to come get my car, drag it rear end down the street in front of my neighbors. They went on my list. Budget finance. Some revenge. So it doesn't matter as long as it's important to you. Put it on your list. Might be frivolous to someone else, but not to you. My Japanese friend, Toro Ikeda, up in San Jose, put on his first list, a Caucasian gardener. Wow. I like that. That's how simple it is. Now, interestingly enough, here's a little simple story. Shelf said, now, Mr. Rohn, now that I'm teaching you how to set goals, he said, just as a favor to me, he said, here's a pretty good goal I think you ought to put on your first list. He said, why don't you put on your list to become a millionaire? He said, hey, it's got a nice ring to it. Enough zeros to impress any accountant. A millionaire. He said, I'm here to help you. And he said, here's why I think you ought to put on your list goal to become a millionaire. He said, here's why. And I thought, well, he doesn't need to teach me why. I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have $1 million? He said, no, then you'll miss it. He said, here's why. For what it will make of you to achieve it. And I'll give you time to jot that down because it's one of the best I've got for the whole day. Shope said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. once that refinement of philosophy burst on my consciousness, it changed my whole life. Then Shoaff said, once you become a millionaire now, what's important is not the money. You could give that away. Now, I had a lot more to learn there, too. He said, no, you could just give it away. Now, I did better than that. I lost it all. By the time I was 31, I was a millionaire. By the time I'm 33, I'm broke. I go into more details now in the next seminar on financial independence. Some foolish things I did, I'm telling you. Farm boy from Idaho, I went crazy with that first money. I used to say, how many colors does it come in? I'll buy them all. Foolish. And some bad business judgments. I'll tell you more about that on financial independence. But I lost it all. But guess what? Shoaff was right. Here's what he said. Why? If you become a millionaire, you could give away the money because he said, here's what's important. What's important is not the money. He said, what's important is the person you have become. To be worth $1 million. The skills you've learned. What you now know about the marketplace and people. What you know now about decision making. What you know now about economics, personality. What you know now about the move of the marketplace and the economy. What you know. What you know now, Mr. Rohn, is what's so valuable. The person you've become, that's what's valuable. What's valuable in life is not what you get. What's valuable in life is what you become. The major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? The major question to ask on the job is, what am I becoming here? Because the value to yourself and to your family is not what you possess. The value is what you become. But now here's the key on setting goals in personal development. Here it is. For your notes, set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. Set the kind of goals that will make you reach, make you stretch, make you read, make you change, make you grow. In leadership training we teach, don't join an easy crowd, you won't grow. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the pressure's on. Go where the push is on. Make you scramble, make you change, get up early, stay up late, pour it on, read the books, challenge yourself, learn the skills. So set the kind of goals that will make something of you. Now this also comes in two parts. Here's the first one. Don't set them too low. Not too low. So you don't have to read, don't have to change, don't have to stretch. The guy says, well, I don't need much. Well, then you don't need to become much. Now here's the second part. Don't sell out for something you think you want. Don't sell out your virtue and your value. That would be a mistake. One ancient script says, what if you went for the whole world and lost your soul? Would that be a valuable trade? And the answer is no. It's called disaster of the worst kind. Sell out your soul, even if you got the whole world. What a disastrous trade that would be. Don't sell out. There's an ancient story that says Judas got the money. 30 pieces of silver in those days was a sizable fortune. Somebody says, well, that's a success story, sizable fortune. No, you don't understand. His name was Judas. It was not a success story. The money was, yes. The traitor Judas got the money. Doesn't that change the story? Of course. Interestingly enough, after Judas has his fortune in his hot little hand, he's unhappy. Somebody says, well, how could you be unhappy if you had a fortune? Well, he wasn't unhappy with the money. He was unhappy with himself. One of the best treasures to take home from my words today. The greatest source of unhappiness is self-unhappiness. It's not unhappiness that comes from the outside. It's unhappiness that comes from the inside. That's the greatest source of unhappiness. And here's where it starts like an infection so innocently. Doing a little less than you could and not feeling quite that good about yourself. That's where it starts like an infection. And unless you pick up some disciplines to change that, I'm telling you, it could lead to the ultimate traitor, sell out, virtue, value. Judas said, I'm so unhappy, what'll I do? He said, oh, just take the money back. Took it back, and they said, heck with you, Judas. We don't want this money. We got what we wanted. You got what you wanted. And they threw him out. He said, what'll I do now? He said, oh, clever. Should have thought of this first. I'll just throw the money away. The story said he proceeded to throw his fortune away. Why would a man throw his fortune away? Because he was so unhappy with himself. Money doesn't mean anything if you've sold out, compromised your virtue and your principles and your values. Now Judas still can't erase what he's become, even though his fortune is gone. And the story said finally in desperation he went out and hung his worthless self. If he could speak back to us in any kind of clear language, here's what he might say. Beware. Two great words of antiquity. Here's the first one. Behold. That's the positive word. Behold. Can't you see? Behold. Take a look. Behold. That's the positive word. But here's the negative word of antiquity. What? Beware. Beware. And here's one of the most important bewares of your lifetime. Beware of what you become in pursuit of what you want. Beware that you don't become too little by setting too small goals. And beware that you don't sell out your virtue and your value for something you think is valuable. Setting goals. Wow. Tied to personal development. Once Shoaff unfolded this for me, I've never been the same since age 25. And if you'll go to work on this as seriously as I did, I'm telling you, you'll soon get hooked on the feeling, one, of personal development, feeling of pride, feeling of self-worth, long before the results start returning from these early disciplines. I'm telling you, once you walk this road, you'll never walk another road. You'll never be influenced by anyone else's philosophy. You'll never be influenced. You'll pick up ideas and information, you'll pick up advice, but you'll learn to give yourself orders, develop your own philosophy that'll guide your life through all of the storms and all of the winds, you and your family, safely, you and your enterprise, safely, no matter who's elected, no matter what goes on. I want this seminar to be that valuable for you to develop this kind of strength. Okay, the last part of the seminar, if you're ready, say, I'm ready. I'm ready. All right, I got two major subjects to cover here to finish up with. Here's the first one. It's negative. Here's the second one. It's positive. Two subjects to finish up with. The first one's negative and the second one is positive. A good way to wrap up a seminar like this today. Some negative and some positive. Let me first now give you some tips on negative that really helped me. So valuable for me. I think you'll appreciate these. Here's number one. Negative is normal. Boy, that was helpful for me. No, it wasn't weird to be negative. Negative is normal. Normal meaning it's a part of the human experience. And it's a part of all of our experience. All of us have this same experience, the negative side of life. So negative is normal. Now, negative is not successful. Right. But it is normal, meaning it's a part of the life experience. Here's number two. Negative is not to be ignored. Negative is very real. As soon as you've planted the garden, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it all. We have two things going for us in our human experience. Here's one, opportunity, and here's number two, the threat to the opportunity. So we deal with both of these twin scenarios in life, opportunity and the threat. Now, the threat to opportunity we call the negative side of life. Number one, it's normal, meaning it's a part of the life experience. Number two, it's not to be ignored. I know some people teach different, but listen to them and listen to me and make up your own mind. I know some people teach, just turn your head real quick and say, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. Hey, they'll take your garden. Okay? So you can't play silly mind games. You say, well, then how can you have a good garden? Well, you got to kill weeds. So here's number three. Negative is to be mastered or conquered. That's part of the life experience. Now, this twin scenario of the life experience is unique. Negative, positive. In fact, we could probably get into quite a philosophical discussion if we wanted to. Would there be positive without negative? Here's the best I've been able to come up with. It doesn't seem like it. That's about the best I can come up with. Here's what it seems like. It seems like, based on our, our finite awareness now, since we're not infinite, we're finite, meaning creatures of the world, for the moment at least, that's about the best we can come up with. It seems like it takes both to make a unique human experience, both negative and positive. In fact, one suggests the other. Would there be life without death? It doesn't seem like it. What makes life valuable? Death? Somebody asked me once if I had a good description of life, and I said, yes, I think I do. Life is the struggle to keep death at a respectable distance. Death seems to want to move in, prematurely, and get us. So to have a good, long, flourishing life, what do you have to do? Push back, push back, push back, push back. Now, if you don't push it back, it pushes you back. There's a push-shove going on here, and it's this negative-positive stuff. Would there be light without darkness? It doesn't seem like it. One suggests the other. Would there be success without failure? Well, I don't think so. You wouldn't call it success. You'd have to call it something else. It's the twin scenario that makes life interesting, fascinating, wondrous in its possibility, but also dangerous in part of the content. So this is the best I've been able to come up with. Negative is normal. It's not to be ignored, but it is to be conquered and mastered. But it is part of the experience. Don't deny yourself the opportunity to drink from both cups, negative, positive. That's the life experience. And hey, you wouldn't have it any other way. What if you went to listen to a symphony orchestra one evening and the symphony orchestra only played little happy high notes all evening? Just little happy high notes all evening, little happy high notes. How much of that could you take? A whole evening of little happy high notes? No, that doesn't represent life. Don't you want to hear the crash of the cymbals? The music that'll scare you to death, describing the tragedy as well as the triumph? And the answer is yes, that's part of the life experience. Somebody says, well, I've been taught to be all positive. Well, you'll be some kind of freako then. We'll ship you off to la positive land. That's not a life experience. Come on. What if the minister only prayed happy prayers every Sunday? How much of that could you take? Happy, happy every Sunday, happy, happy every Sunday, happy. No. No. Who's going to pray angry prayers? Who's going to pray frustrated prayers? Who's going to weep in public for the lost children? Come on. Negative and positive. In fact, in one sweep of one sentence, ancient script says it best. There's a time to laugh. Of course. And once you've learned to laugh, just keep on laughing. No. There's a time what? To cry. And you've got to be so sophisticated and well-educated that you don't laugh when it's time to cry. Come on. Another writer said, rejoice with those that rejoice. But that's not the end of it. It also says what? Weep. Weep with those that weep. You don't laugh when somebody's weeping. You what? See if you can't find and think of something to cry about when somebody's crying. You got to drink from both cups. Negative is part of the life experience. In fact, I teach kids that you got to think negative when it's positive. I teach kids the ant philosophy. I think part of it's in the new video. Teaching kids the ant philosophy. Here's a couple of pieces of the ant philosophy. Number one, ants never quit. What a great philosophy. If they're going somewhere and you stop them, I'm telling you they'll look for another way. And how long will they look? Until they find it or die. What a great philosophy. Here's number 2. Ants think winter all summer. Why do you suppose it looks like they're always in a hurry? You can't think summer all summer. We'll call you naive at the worst. An ancient story says, don't build your house on the sand in the summer. Why? It's easy to get faked out by blue sky and fleecy clouds. You can't get faked out by the summer, build your house on the sand. What a tragedy that would be, just to think summer all summer. You can't think summer in the summer. You got to think winter in the summer. You got to think negative when it's positive. You say, well, how can you think winter when it's a blue sky and fleecy clouds? You got to try. Or get somebody that's been through a winter and let them come scare you to death. Say, let me tell you about these winters that can come. Say, oh, no, I'm just going to sit here and think positive. We'll come get your children. Take them to safety. Here's what you got to do in the summer. Think enough about winter to find you a rock. To build your house on a rock. Why? The storms are going to come. You say, blue sky. No, you don't understand. You can't get faked out by blue sky. You've got to think negative when it's positive. One of the best scenarios I've got is the summer. On the weekend seminar, we'll get into it on that next seminar if you attend. The Study of the Seasons. The title of my first book was called The Seasons of Life. And I'll go through all 4 seasons with you in that seminar. But let me pick out one right now to illustrate my point. It's called the season of summer. Here's what's unique about the summer. You got 2 challenges in the summer. Number 1, to nourish your values. Number 2, to fight the threat to your values. In the summer, you've got to nourish your good and fight your evil. You've got to nourish the garden and fight the weeds. Summer is a challenging time. In the summer, you must nourish like a mother. And you must destroy like a father. Love like a mother. Hate like a father. In the summer, give life like a mother to your values. And take life like a father. Take the life of your enemies. Lest they what? Take the life of your family. Father says to whatever threatens his family, take 3 more steps toward this family, you'll cease to exist. I'm father. I kill. In the summer, you've got to love like a mother and hate like a father. If you don't love and hate, I'm telling you, I pity your chances for the future. You say, well, I've been just taught to love. We'll send you off to love la la land. You can't just love. Ancient script says it best what? Love good and what? Hate evil. Love good and hate evil. One of the greatest conversions of all time, the man said later after his conversion, the things I once hated, I now love. And the things I once loved, I now hate. Next seminar, we'll teach communications, how parents ought to put love and hate in the same sentence. You've got to put love and hate sometimes in the same sentence. I love you, you say to your child, but I hate what's happening. I love you, but I hate where you're going. I love you, but I hate what's going on. Love your friends and what? Hate your enemies. Now it is possible, yes, to love like a father and hate like a mother, just so you get both done. Nothing more dangerous than an angry mother. Especially in the animal kingdom. Beware, Mama Bear. If she thinks you're after her cubs, you'll cease to exist. She kills. You got to be like that. But that's the key. Both nourish and kill. Give life and take life. Love and hate. So important to understand this twin scenario of life. You got to be like your bloodstream. That's one of the best illustrations, your bloodstream. Red corpuscles to what? Nourish and give food and give life. White corpuscles to what? Fight like a father and take life. Thank God for white corpuscles that think negative all day. White corpuscles say, just show me some infection, I'll kill it. Why? If I don't kill it, what? It kills you. You got to love and hate. You got to give life and take life. Tyranny takes over Kuwait in the form of Saddam Hussein. Tyranny's been doing that for the last 6,500 years every time it gets a chance. It takes over, extinguishes the light of freedom and liberty. So what are we going to do? You say, well, it's just a little country. Well, what if Saddam now wants Saudi Arabia? Say, well, we're way over here. Well, then what if he wants Israel? I'm telling you, tyranny knows no restraint of appetite. And tyranny cannot be rehabilitated. It's got to be destroyed like an infection. It's been going on for 6,500 years, and didn't Hitler teach us well? Didn't Stalin teach us well? As if tyranny knows no restraint of appetite, there's only one way to get rid of it, and that's kill it. So George Bush was right. Draw a line in the sand. Consult with the Allies. Send 500,000 troops to Saudi Arabia and finally to Kuwait and kick Saddam tyranny out of Kuwait. 6,500 years of history says you got to do it. You got no choice. Hired Chief White Corpuscle General Schwarzkopf. Now, next piece. We all have enemies. You got to do your share of negative thinking. How to destroy your enemies. Ancient story said they returned to rebuild the walls of the temple and the city for their future. And as they built the walls of the temple and the city, they had a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other hand. The trowel was for what? To build their future. The sword was for what? Their enemies. I'm asking you to get just as good at the sword as you are at the trowel. So what are some of the enemies? Now here's the clue. Some of the enemies are on the outside, like Saddam Hussein, and some of them are on the inside. Let's talk about some of the enemies on the inside that you've got to take sword to and destroy them before they destroy you. Here's number one, indifference. What a tragic disease this is. Indifference, ho-hum, let it slide. Tragic. Take sword to this enemy. Here's one problem with drift. You can't drift to the top of the mountain. Next one, enemy of all of us, indecision. Indecision is called the thief of opportunity. Let it steal your chances for a better spring. Let it steal your chances for a fortune of the future. I'm telling you, it's tragic, of immense proportions. Indecision. Take sword to this enemy, indecision. Next is doubt. Sure, there's room for healthy skepticism. You can't believe everything, but you can't let doubt then take over. Doubt the past and doubt the future and doubt each other and doubt the government and doubt the possibilities and doubt the opportunities, and worst of all, doubt yourself. I'm telling you, it'll destroy your life and destroy your chances, empty your purse and your heart. Doubt is an enemy. Go after it. Next is worry. We've all got to worry some, but don't let worry conquer you. Let it alarm you. We've all got to be alarmed, but we don't want to be conquered. Worry is useful. 3 o'clock in the morning, your daughter's not home yet. You got to worry. New York City, step off the curb, one of those little taxis is coming. You got to worry. They don't stop like California. But now you can't let worry loose like a mad dog loose in the house, drive you into a small corner. Here's what you got to do with your worries. Drive them into a small corner. Whatever's out to get you, you got to get it. Whatever's pushing on you, you got to push back. Guess where illness is in your life right now? Testing the outer edge